Hi, my name is Vahan Davudian. I'm a physical experimentalist for 34 years. And today our topic is about generating electricity. And it's going to be so special and important because I have so many facts about the Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla that you never heard and it was never even published, but you're going to enjoy it because these are special, these are new approach to the life and their, legacy and their invention and everything else. So as we go, I can explain step by step. And in fact, this is my logo. If you click on this, when you go on YouTube, you can see this a green logo like this. You can see all 69 theories. They're all in sequence, and then it's called Unique Physics Concepts, How to Promote the Science by Vahan Davudian. And this is my email, vahandavudian1948@gmail.com. And today's topic is generating electricity. This is so important in our life because our important life is run on electricity, either AC or DC, but always we need it, especially with this modern technology. So this is the way it works. Normally, I give you, some examples. See, this is the way Mr. Parson did, and then he was great scientist, English engineer in 1888, and this is the most common one, and you can see it's a huge turbine here. Well, of course, inside, you don't see the inside. It's called induction, and it's getting electricity up to 110 volts. And normally, this is the most common one, so it doesn't matter always we need to, convert the energies, and now we get heat over here, and that the heat is, causing the water to boil, and then the high pressure will run this turbine over here, and you can see this is exactly like airplane, you can see those here. So it's rotating and then causing electricity. But United States is a huge country, so there is no way that we can do every station at the, where the cities are. So we have to transport, we have to have the transmission line, and that's the reason why we need alternating current, because direct current is not going to work. So this is the way it is. So they get this high pressure and goes in a turbine like this, and then it's converting, it's using causing induction, and that is going to be, we need also, transformers. The reason why we have to transport this energy to long distances. So this is the way they do. So we have, a step up transformer, and also we have a step down. So the reason why we do that, because we have to minimize the loss. So what we do, that 110,000 volt, we have to have high voltage but low current. The reason why we have low current, because when it's going through the wire, well, of course, it's all, moving electrons, so it's going to be a lot of loss. But this is the way Nikola Tesla did, and this was amazing idea. It's been more than 100 years, and we still follow the same thing. So we raise the voltage as much as we can. Like I said, here is 110,000 volts, and then, but it's low current. But when it gets to the station, we have to reverse this process, which is called a step down. So we have a step down, so we lower the voltage, so it'll be safe for the houses. And you can see here the pylons, they're all over United States, and these are so safe because they're way above the ground, and then they transport everything to the houses. Well, of course, I have to mention one of the greatest minds in the history of science. His name was Michael Faraday. The whole idea of generating electricity, it doesn't matter if you do it, with, for the AC or DC. This is the way Michael Faraday did, and he had a, coil like this. So you can see here, he had a round, I think it was metal, and then he had two separate coils. So winding, one over here, one over here. They were not even connected to each other. So what he did, he had, DC on this one. Then he realized he's not getting DC on the other one, or there's not induction. And then he was genius. He realized if we put this on and off, on and off, on and off, this DC. So what he did, he acted his finger like a switch. Then he realized he's getting some induction on the second one. Well, he was so genius. It took another 60 years. So Tesla came over and said the only way you can get induction is by changing magnetic field, because when we have a DC, we are not changing magnetic field. It's one way, it has to come back. But alternating current is completely changing. 60 hertz on and off, or up and down. That is the way it is. In fact, I came up with my own idea for the transformer, and this is my design. You can see there are two coils. One of them you don't see is underneath, and then it's called primary, and the secondary. And you can see here are irons, and then what they do, they enhance the flux lines. Without the iron cores, there is no way you can have any transformers. Well, of course, I had to take this apart. This is the small one. This was for my shaver. And you can see they all have, this is called class 2 transformer. And we're getting 6 volt AC on this one. Well, of course, I had to remove, there's some, filters, diodes, and everything else. So you can see we have primary, it goes to 120 volts, and this is the secondary, and always secondary is a little bit less and is also thicker. So this one get 120 and is converted to 6 volt AC. Well, of course, you have like a diodes here, then it converts to DC, so you can use. I have some samples here. You can see this is so easy because this is the one Tesla did, and we have like high voltage here. See, you can see here, voltage come over here, then on this one, primary, and then we have to raise this to 110,000 volts. The reason why we do that, there is a proportion. So this secondary must be 100 turns more than this. Well, of course, it's more than that. And then you can see we raise the voltage to 110,000 volts, but at the same time, the current is low. The reason why we do that, because we want to minimize the loss as much as possible, because United States is a huge country. Sometimes we have like 600, 400, 500 miles, all these pylons, they're transporting electricity. So when it gets to the houses, we lower the voltage, and then what happened, we have like 120 volts, and then we can use it. Well, of course, I have one more. This is the one I removed from the microwave oven. You can see we have the primary, and then we have the secondary. Then you can see here, this is the primary. You see how less and then how thick the wires are. But this one, I counted many years ago. This was like 30,000 turns. And this is real big, oven. And this is getting 25,000 volts. The reason why, so it can, use the magnetron. Okay. Now, I have some more posters. Let me put this down so you can see more. This was English engineer I mentioned a few minutes ago. His name was Charles Parson. It was in 1880, and he was amazing, scientist. When he did this, he was English, and then, they realized this is the best way to generate the most electricity. So normally, when we are dealing with electricity's flow of electrons, it doesn't matter, AC or DC, always we have the waste, because, the moving electrons, atoms hit each other, and then overall, the heat is always the bad thing, because according to laws of thermodynamics, that is an entropy or disorder. Always we have a heat, and then in order to minimize that, like I said, we raise the voltage, and the current is much less. And this is so important that I don't know why Mr. Nikola Tesla did not take this into the consideration. This is called laws of thermodynamics. And in fact, entire universe is governed by laws of thermodynamics. There is no way that you can avoid that. Laws of thermodynamics, especially the second law, is so important. It's about the planets and the entire universe. It's always when we have entropy, always we have something like electricity or anything like that, we have entropy. It means that the disorder. So in other words, this entropy goes up and that is causing less. It is impossible by laws of physics that the output is going to be exactly like input. It is against the laws of thermodynamics. If I have 1000 Newton force, I push something, my output is not going to be exactly 1000 because I have friction, I have heat, I have so many other things. So Nikola Tesla did not take this into the consideration. Well, of course, he was a great scientist. I will explain more what they did. In order to minimize that, like I said, the power transmission, always we do that. So let me get another poster. This is another poster showing a step down and a step up. You can see, of course, this is not an exact size because this is showing maybe 10 or 8 turns and here showing 800. And the ratio is always 100 times more. So you can see the primary and you can see the secondary. And the primary has more current, but here we have more voltage, less current. And then when we get over here, we have the step down, we reverse the things. Sometimes you may wonder, you have seen on a utility poles, these are also transformers. So the high voltage comes in, so it's getting low voltage, and then going to the houses. And well, of course, this is so common. It depends on some huge complexes. They have huge like this. This is exactly doing the same thing. But this is underground electricity that high voltage comes in and is lowering the voltage. Well, of course, I have to mention something about the Thomas Edison. He was a fantastic scientist, and what he did, everybody remembers how smart he was. But unfortunately, what he did when the Nikola Tesla, came up with the alternating current was beneath his dignity, and then what he did, he ruined his own reputation. And I have a picture of New York City. You can see this is a New York City. Well, of course, this is so old, and it shows the wires. There are so many thousands of wires. The reason why DC is not going to work. Thomas Edison was so stubborn. He was so, insisting that this is the good one, and then it didn't work. You can see some scientists said it was so much wires that, they blocked the sun. So Thomas Edison was good, but unfortunately he did not realize Ohm's law. It's so important that, even the high school, students know that, voltage and current, how they work. It is impossible. If you raise the current by 2, your waste will be 4. If you raise the current by 3 times, it's going to be 9. So it's so important that, you are not supposed to use DC or direct current for the houses. I remember I was 8 years old, 10 years old, I was using, DC current, and then that was my hobby. And then I realized when I transport and I get voltage from one room to the other, it's diminished a lot, and then I'm getting dim light. At that time, I was 10 years old. I had no idea about the current. Now I know that the DC is not going to work. And imagine when Nikola Tesla came, and then he got this alternating current, he changed our world. Alternating current is the final thing. There is no way that we can survive with a direct current. But unfortunately, what Thomas Edison did, I didn't like that idea. He was killing innocent animals, and then he was electrocuting them. And the worst thing was one time they got the elephant and electrocuted, and they told them, yeah, alternating current is exotic. No, it is not exotic. And at that time, there was no one to stop him. Don't kill the innocent animals. What you're doing is not justified. Well, you are justifying a nonsense with another nonsense. Of course, this is my idea. You tell someone, you go on a 10-story and then you jump. And then you're going to get killed. Why? Because the gravity is exotic. No, gravity is not exotic. Well, gravity is giving us life. The planets and everything survive by the gravity. Or, if you get the bare wire, you're going to get killed. No, the wire, of course, that is justifying a nonsense with another nonsense. Well, anyway, so he did it. Mr. Tesla did it. And of course, unfortunately, Tesla crossed the line. I tell you why. Because he was one of the greatest minds in history. Well, of course, I am not criticizing him. This was his nature. He never got married, and then he was obsessed with, number 3, and then so many other things, jewelry and some other things. But overall, he was a great scientist. What he did, he changed our world. I remember he was in Budapest, and then one day he was walking, and then he got a stick, and then with his friend he was showing that, he came out, with a 3-phase, induction electric motor. And then his friend, I don't remember what his name was, he said, the only time we can get alternating current is changing magnetic field. And the poor man brought this up because he was in Graz. It was a huge university in Austria. And then he told his professor so many times, Professor, we have to change the magnetic field. They said, no, Tesla, you're wrong. But he was right. And then changing magnetic field. If I have an alternating current and I put it in a transformer, I can have induction. If I have a direct current, I put it in transformer, I won't get anything back. So he was absolutely right. Well, unfortunately, like I said a few minutes ago, he crossed the line, and then the death rays and things like that caused him, that, people were afraid, maybe he's posing threat to a society or something like that. But why? They did it the way he died, destitute. He died penniless. He was so poor. How could you survive with the milk and the biscuit for 10 years? And how could you survive with 2-3 hours of sleep? But the man was an amazing person. But unfortunately, the society, did not help him. And, I'm so mad about Mr. George Westinghouse. He was a good person, of course. He was helping Tesla. And then one day he came over, Tesla, unfortunately, the economy is bad. And then I brought the contract. And then Tesla was so idiot, he tore the contract. He should have said, at least, I'm going to give you $500,000 so you can live, because you're not working now. But, at least George Westinghouse paid for some hotels. But what they did, why would he tore the contract? He could get at least $500,000 from that. But exactly this is what happened. And unfortunately, Thomas Edison went on campaigning, false campaigning that this is exotic and so and so. And unfortunately, this is what happened. And the poor man died in a poverty, which is not good. I'm sorry. But Tesla was the man. Not only he saved humanity, but also bought a reputation for United States of America. In Chicago, that fair, and then they wanted 200,000 bulbs, and Thomas Edison said no. If I were like a Thomas Edison, okay, I will cooperate with you, I get half of the credit. He did not, and he had no idea that Tesla will beat him in his own game. So Tesla came up with another idea, and he created 200,000 light bulbs. When all these people, all these dignitaries, big shots came from all over the world, they realized United States is a powerful country. And because of Tesla, and Mr. President turned on the light, people were amazed. And the Thomas Edison at that time was so mad because he was total failure at that time, and then it was too late, and there was no way he could apologize or anything. Unfortunately, this is what happened. So, but I have to mention something. Always laws of thermodynamic helps, and I have two experiment I can show you. Overall, in always we are following the laws of thermodynamic. You cannot create energy. You cannot destroy energy. Always you convert energies. And the most important part is the second laws of thermodynamics is that always, whenever you have any motion, it doesn't matter, subatomic, level or anything, you have always entropy. So the best example I can give you is a pendulum. Pendulum is doing some work, finally it's going to run out energy. The reason why the entropy is increasing. So every time the arc is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and finally stopped. So, this was the biggest mistake for Mr. Tesla. And then what he did, he said, I can create energy for the whole world. Because I'm a science man and I was a baby, I knew about the alternating current. I was so young. And what he did was absolutely wrong. He said, I can create energy, the whole world can. No way. It's impossible. The air is not conductor. The human can walk on a carpet and your body get 30,000 volts. When you touch the knobs, what happened? You discharge it. 30,000 volts in your body, you're discharging. There is no way he could get alternating current for the whole world because, I'm a science man. Listen how carefully I analyzed this. I came up with a good answer. When you go above atmosphere, we got ionosphere. So what it is, we have electrons and we have ions. So over there, everything is charged. So what Nikola Tesla wanted to do, bring the universe, everything on Earth. It was impossible. And I remember when he did in Colorado, one scientist said the one he built in Colorado was much more powerful than the one in New York City. He says that there were some, stables and there were horses, and there was so much charges in the air. Horses, they were dancing because of that charges. So what Tesla did, he did not realize that, that our ionosphere is above atmosphere, and then that is the reason why we can have radio transmission, because it's deflecting everywhere. But if the ionosphere was here, what would have happened? We could not even live. The reason why we live, because the air is not insulated. In 1859, something happened in the United States. I'm hoping it's not happening now because everything will be paralyzed. And I remember there was this operator for the, and then he was outside his office, and then his fax, not the fax, the telegraph was working. The reason why, it was that something happened in the sun, and that sun spot, it took 2 days. That was so much charges, but at those days, we didn't have any technology. If the same thing happened today, exactly like I said a few minutes ago, our life is paralyzed. We cannot communicate, we cannot use phone. That's going to be blackout our entire United States. So I'm hoping that, I always supported Nikola Tesla because he was a great scientist, even though he was eccentric, and at the end of his life, he suffered compulsion, which is not good idea, which is not a good thing, psychologically sick, or something that you repeat things over and over again. But unfortunately, the society forgot about him, and New York City people, after so many years, finally they decided to honor him. They don't even have a grave for him, the poor guys. So I'm hoping this is a good lesson for the next, administration that they come. They respect the scientists, and then what he did, especially Tesla, even though he was eccentric, but his contribution to science is so good. So I'm hoping you guys love these ideas, and then if you like this video, you can go ahead and subscribe, and thank you for your, helps. You always encourage me, and then I got a lot of emails, and thanks a lot for your support, and you're always good to me. Thanks a lot.